Hello creative friends, this is Patricia from patriciafenty.com, and today I have a tutorial on how to crochet this granny square pattern. Now I originally had this granny square pattern which I used to create this scarf design, and it's two separate tutorials. And what happened was there was a copyright claim on this pattern design here. Now I had never heard of this crochet artist before, but she did have a book with this pattern published in it. So I had to take both these tutorials down. Now, this scarf is totally my own design. I mean, there's no copyright claim on the scarf design, but there was on the granny square. So I had to take both of them down, which was a shame because this is such a pretty scarf. So what I decided to do was to rework this pattern, which I have done here. And so that will be this tutorial, and then I'll be republishing this tutorial for this scarf in which you'll use this pattern design instead of this one. And I mean, you can use any pattern design you want for this scarf, so long as your outside round is the same design as this one here. So yeah, now I will show you how to make this design here. Now the supplies you will need for this tutorial is an assortment of number 4 medium weight yarns. You can use any color combination you like, any type of yarn you like. And so for this tutorial, I'll show you the colors that I'm using in this scarf so you can plan your squares ahead. Now I'm using all acrylic yarns, and so this is Bernat satin yarn in my tie, and this is the same brand in Stardust. This red color, this is a Canadiana brand that's no longer made. I got this at the thrift store, but it's just a number 4 medium weight red yarn. This here is Canadiana, Peyton's Canadiana, and it's called Fool's Gold. And this is the same brand, and it's called Medium Teal. What I don't have here anymore is this green color. I've used this all up, but this was a Cascade Yarns, the Anthem, and the color was number 44. And then you'll need a 4mm or G6 crochet hook, some scissors, and a darning needle. So I am starting with the Bernat satin in the Stardust color. So you'll start with a slip knot. And if you're new to crochet, I do have my beginner crochet series. I'll put a link to that below. So you'll put the slip knot on your hook and begin with a chain 4. Then you'll create a ring by doing a slip stitch into the top loop of your first ring, just like that. And this is a small ring, but it does crochet up nicely. So then you'll want to chain 3, and this counts as your first double crochet, and then you'll do a chain 1 for a chain 1 space. Then we'll work a double crochet, so yarn over and put your hook into the ring, and you can kind of just let your hook find the way. There we go, and yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, and then chain 1. And so you'll repeat that 10 more times. So yarn over, go into the ring, and work a double crochet and a chain 1. So you'll have a total of 12 double crochets, chain 1, including your beginning chain 3. So go ahead and do that, and I'll see you at the end. All right, so coming around to the end here, I'm just doing my last double crochet and chain 1. So it's actually 11 double crochets, chain 1, plus your beginning chain 4. So a total of 12 double crochets. Then going into your beginning chain 4, you go into the 3rd chain of that beginning chain 4. You'll do a slip stitch to join this round. Now you can just fasten off or chain 1 and fasten off. I always like to chain 1 and fasten off. And slip the tail, and that is round 1 all done. Now for round 2, I'm using the Peyton's Canadiana in the Fool's Gold. So you'll join on by creating a slip knot, put that on your hook, tail to the right, and going into any chain one space, you'll join on with a slip stitch. So grab your yarn from behind, flip your tail over, and do a slip stitch. Now you'll chain 3, and this counts as your first double crochet. Scooch that over a bit, and if you want, you can begin to crochet in your tail end. And then you'll do a double crochet into that same chain 1 space, and then chain 1. And then you'll work 2 double crochets into the next chain 1 space, and a chain 1. And then 2 double crochets in the next chain 1 space, and a chain 1. So you'll repeat that, another 9 more times now, all the way around. So you'll have a total of 12 clusters all the way around. So go ahead and do that. Okay, here we are, just finishing my last cluster of 2 double crochets, chain 1, and then you'll join this round by doing a slip stitch into the 3rd chain of your beginning chain 3 and a chain 1 to fasten off, or you can fasten off without the chain 1. Again, that's totally up to you. So that's the end of round 2, and the next color I'm going to use is the Bernat Satin in the Mai Tai. Now this one we're going to join on a little bit differently, but you will start with a slip knot. Put that on your hook, tail to the right, and we're going to join on with a single crochet. So going into any chain 1 space, put your hook through, grab the yarn from behind, flip your tail over. You'll have 2 loops on your hook, and yarn over and pull through 2 loops to create a single crochet. Then you'll chain 2 and go over to the next chain 1 space. Oops, you'll do a single crochet and a chain 2. And then in the next chain 1 space, you'll do a single crochet and a chain 2. And you're going to repeat that all the way around, doing a single crochet in the chain 1 space with a chain 2 in between. So go ahead and do that, and I'll see you at the end. You can see how nicely that is working out. So I've just done my last single crochet and chain 2, and you'll finish this round by doing a slip stitch into that beginning single crochet, going under both loops there, and do a chain 1 to fasten off, and cut your tail end. Now this is going to curl up a little bit. That's okay, it'll work itself out later on. So the next color I'm using is this Peyton's Red. And again, I got this at a thrift shop, so it's no longer made, but any red will work. So again, starting with a slip knot, put that on your hook, and starting in any chain 2 space, I'll start over here. You'll join on with a slip stitch. Flip your tail over and do a slip stitch. So you'll chain 3, and this counts as your first double crochet, and you'll create a cluster of 3 double crochets. So we'll do 2 more double crochets into that chain 2 space. And then chain 1. And then you'll do another set of 3 double crochets in the next chain 2 space. And that's 3, and chain 1. And this is going to be just a little bit different because we're preparing for the next round. So you'll work a set of 3 double crochets into the next chain 2 space. That's 2 and 3, and then you'll chain 2, because that's going to be the corner for the next round. Then you'll carry on and you'll do a set of 3 double crochets with a chain 1 in between, and then you'll do that again in the next space. And so you'll have a cluster 1 with a chain 1, cluster 2 with a chain 1, cluster 3 with a chain 2. So cluster chain 1, cluster chain 1, and cluster chain 2. So repeat that all the way around, and you should have 4 corners with chain 2 spaces by the end. So you can see here, coming to the end of row 4, we have the chain 1 space in between there. There's the chain 2 there for the corner. There's the other chain 2, and that's the other chain 2. So you should finish at the end of this row around, you'll do a chain 2, and then you'll join that into the third chain of that beginning chain 3 with a slip stitch and fasten off however you like. And that's the end of round 4, and I've darned in some of my tail ends because there's a lot there. So there we go. Now for the final round, I am using the Peyton's Canadiana in the medium teal. So we'll create a slip knot as usual, put that on your hook. And so we're going to work corners into each of those chain 2 spaces in order to make this into a square. So start in any chain 2 space. We'll do the corner first. So flip your tail over and join on with a slip stitch. So you will chain 3, and that does count as your first double crochet. Scooch that over to the side. Then you'll do 2 more double crochets into that chain 2 space to create a cluster, and then chain 2, and then do another set of 3 double crochets in that same chain 2 space to create your corner. And one more, and then chain 1, and then you'll work a set of 3 double crochets into the next chain 1 space. I need to get some more here, unravel a bit more. There we go, that's better. So a cluster of 3 double crochets into the chain 1 space, and then chain 1, and then another set of 3 double crochets into that chain 1 space, and chain 1, and now you're at your chain 2 space, which means you need to work a corner. So again, you'll do a set of 3 double crochets, and then chain 2, and then another set of 3 double crochets into that same chain 2 space, and that creates a very nice corner. And then chain 1, and so you'll carry on, and you'll do 2 sets of 3 double crochets in each chain 1 space with a chain 1 in between, and then you'll work your corner in the chain 2 space, and you'll repeat that pattern all the way around. Oops, there we go. So I'll see you there. All right, so coming to the end of round 5, you should finish up with your 2 sets of 3 double crochets in the chain 1 space. So you do a chain 1, and we'll join into this corner section, joining into the third chain of the beginning chain 3. So I'm just going to fasten this off as usual with the chain 1. Now I do have an invisible finish that you can use to finish this very last round, but because we're using this square to make the scarf, any of the knots can be placed on the outside of the scarf pattern, and that will just be crocheted over. And so I'm just going to knot that off and darn in my tail ends. But if you want to use this in another design, another project, you might want to use the invisible finish, and I'll have a link for that in the blog post for this pattern. So go ahead and darn in your tail ends. I've already done that to some degree, and you can see what a lovely design that is. And that'll work perfectly now for the scarf tutorial. So there you go. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my YouTube channel for more creative and inspiring videos. We'll see you next time, which will be the tutorial for the scarf. So make sure to check the description box below for the link to that when it becomes available. So we'll see you soon.